he made a mention of Romero Duno was being viewed upon as the lightweight division of Manny Pacquiao, or the next coming of Manny Pacquiao, based on what I have no idea.
No, I agree. I completely agree. I was a little perplexed by that same statement that they were saying, but I think it went one step further. We talked about it right. I think we actually talked about it moments after the fight when you were up at Roberts and with him and Renee. Was Duno didn't have a game plan going into this fight.
No.
All this herky jerky, I'm a mini Mike Tyson, all this stuff that he was doing, it was all done in vain because then he became a stationary at arm's length target for Ryan Garcia. And I know a lot of people are talking about the Kovalev Canelo fight possibly having the fix in there. You want to see a fix? I'll show you a fix. A guy who comes in and does all of this energy, uses all this energy to kind of like get himself inside, and then steps outside into arm's length and takes the end of the punch of Ryan Garcia. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, if you're going to employ that kind of a tactic, we're going to be herky jerky and maybe try to get inside. Get inside.
Yeah, exactly.
He stayed right on the end of Ryan Garcia's power. It reminded me a little bit of the fight last week with Joette and Shakur Stevenson, whereas Joette, to me, was expending a lot of energy doing this herky-jerky moving of the head, moving of the hands, trying to, I don't know, I wouldn't even go so far as to call them feints. They weren't really feints, but it seems like this guy Duno was doing that, but he wasn't letting his hands go at all. I mean, he did. I don't even know what the punch stat numbers were for that fight. It didn't seem like he let his hands go at all. So.
Yeah, I know. And one of the things that really got to me about Duno, too, was, don't get me wrong, I feel bad for the kid. I felt bad because I felt that he had the people around him telling him, this is what we need to do, and he really didn't know. He really didn't. He wasn't ready for that to happen. But at the end of the day, I know there's a lot of people out there that make their comments about Lomachenko. Unless you've really been a boxer at a certain level, and I'm not going to say that I was, but I mean, I had, and you could attest this, I had a certain thing about myself where I was able to deliver unorthodox ways in my technique. And I see a lot of that in Lomachenko. And the thing is, if Duno had watched some of Loma's fights, he would have known. When you got a fighter like Ryan Garcia, who has to set, he has to be set to throw his power and his speed. Watch him when he's in training. He shows it every time.
That's true.
So what you do in a situation like that is you use angles, and when Ryan has to adjust, that's when you invoke your forward progression, get him against the ropes, and he's vulnerable. But he didn't do that. He stood there and he let Ryan set his feet, and then come over. I mean, it made no sense to me. And his corner was telling it wasn't, never got past one, but I mean, I'm sure whatever they were going to tell him, it wasn't going to be that. Like I said,
like I said, whatever the strategy was it was definitely the wrong strategy. If you're knowing, I mean, you said that right there. I mean, you saying that Ryan Garcia needs to be set to throw his punches, to basically utilize his speed and power, that's absolutely 100% factual. I guarantee you this right now. I don't even know the name of Romero Duno's trainers, but I guarantee you this now. If you said that to them, it would go right over their head. They had no idea. They had no idea that that's what needed to happen. That's, you know what I mean? I don't know how much film study or how much they actually watched Ryan Garcia, or they just thought that they were starting to believe some of the headlines that Golden Boy was pushing, the narrative that they were pushing, that this guy was some type of a threat. He was not a threat at all. Well, he was not a threat at all.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to what we try to convey to people about our show. That's, we're just getting it off the floor and we're trying to keep things going. But the thing is that what we're talking about, a lot of times people use the word opinion. But we have a lot of factual as far as what we know from the ring. You don't have to be a well-renowned fighter and win multiple titles to be very good at something and be very good at observing things. Look at it in baseball. Most of the people that are talent scouts that are out there scouting and the same thing in the NFL, they're not former players, but they have an eye for the game.
Yeah.
My brother, we have an eye for the fight game. Like I said, I've always just had this thing where I can watch a fight or a certain fighter, and right away I just know, like my wife, she was telling me this morning, she was like, I'll tell you, if you ever decide to become a trainer, she's all, I was like, you know what, it's one of the things I've talked to my brother, we talked about doing stuff like this, and maybe, because I'll tell you, when we're in the gym, the times I've been there, and observed Robert Alcazar, I mean, it's like watching Picasso paint, a painting. It's just he doesn't have to say anything. It's all in the eyes. He knows exactly what he sees. He's seeing what his fighters hasn't done yet, and he's already putting in his mind what he's going to show him, and what
Yeah,
the fighter can show him.
he definitely does. He when I sit with Robert, we talk about a fighter, whether he's a new fighter coming into the gym or maybe working out for Robert for the first time. He right away knows what the kid. It'll be one step at a time. Okay, the kid counters good, but we need to work on him setting the pace and being first. And those are the things you work on. And vice versa. If it's somebody who's aggressive but doesn't really counter well, you're not going to work on that aggressive. You're going to work on the counter to make him a more well-rounded fighter. So yeah, that's a good point.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, that was the thing. As a trainer, when you look at a fight, like the people who are the people that surround, the people that support, the people that are supposedly the guidance for Romero Duno, should have known this. They should have watched it. It's basic. It's there's a reason why they say boxing's a chess match, okay? Because the strikes can come from any angle, just like chess. And the point is, when you have a fighter like Ryan Garcia, if you went back and watched some of his previous fights, or just go to his Instagram or his Facebook and look at him in the gym and he's doing his million-mile-an-hour, I'm the $6 million man throwing these wild, rapid punches. The point is, he has to be set. His feet have to be planted into the ground. There's only a few people who actually have the ability to actually do things at different angles. I was able to do a lot of that, but I go back to the past. Lomachenko does that. Guys like Nassim Hamed. And what it is, it falls on one key thing that I think a lot of boxers forget about when it comes to boxing, and that is balance. Balance is the key. That's what makes Vasily Lomachenko such a good fighter. His dance experience and his balance. The fact that he can alter his body weight and shift that power to any angle of his body, no matter what direction he is pointed in. And that's what other fighters can't do.
Yeah. And going real quick, we'll just a last point on the Garcia Duno fight, but with Garcia having to be set, he sets himself to get into a rhythm of throwing these multiple punch combinations or jabs or whatever they may be, and you have to disrupt that rhythm. So anybody future in the future that is a future opponent for Ryan Garcia, if you want to beat the kid, disrupt his rhythm. He needs to be said, disrupt that rhythm. If you can disrupt that rhythm, like when he throws that 1-2 punch or whatever, if he's got a 3-4 punch combination coming, it doesn't matter if you're going to take the counter shot or not. Disrupt that rhythm. Or punch at the same time he punches. Like I said, the kid needs to be set. Like you said, he doesn't want to punch at the same time someone else is punching. It's almost to him, it's like a tennis match. Okay, you hit the ball, I hit the ball, you hit the ball, I hit the ball. So that's the last thing I really want to say about that. I think
there's one other thing I want to cover on that was the fact that I know there's a rumor out there, but then it was actually validated when it came out of his mouth. The fact that the Garcia camp, meaning Oscar and Ryan himself, are targeting Jorge Linares. Now, people can say whatever they want. Linares may be past his prime. He had that disastrous fight when he stepped up in weight against Kanu. But I'm gonna tell you something about Jorge Linares. Jorge Linares is a well-rounded, experienced fighter, championship-level fighter. He's been one of the most avoided guys in the lightweight division for years. People have avoided him. People made it a big deal. They were like, well, Vasily won't get in there with him. But when he did, and Vasily said it afterwards too, one of the craftiest, one of the most experienced fighters. It was a fight.
It's a great fight.
But the thing was, Linares, regardless if his balance is great or not, Linares has another ability that will overtake not having that natural balance. And that is just pure ring IQ. What Linares does is called a sniper shoot. So what he does is, if you go back and you watch when he fought against Vasily, how he was able to hit those straight punches in on a moving target was he's got this it's kind of like a vertical where he pushes his knee in and then he comes back. It's like a roll, like you're rolling a boat. And it's perfect. And Ryan Garcia, when he goes to do that little setup thing, Linares is going to step off to the side, come back in that roll, and bam! It's going to be problems for Garcia. He's not going to be able to out-jab him. I know he relies on his jab. He thinks his jab is amazing. Well, he's about to face the best jabber, I think, in the game today, in Jorge Linares. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if that to me, that fight, I hadn't heard anything about that, but I guess it is being talked about. I know that it looks like Linares does have a fight scheduled for. Does he have a fight scheduled? No, he actually he just fought in September. Does he have a fight coming up? No. So well, maybe that's something they'll try to put together. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Well, I think a lot of it too has to do with the fact that I think that they're feeling that Ryan has this exceptional power because of what he did to Duno, but they don't understand. I don't care how hard your chin is. An average a person with average punching power, if you stand right in front of them and give them your chin, you're probably going to go down. And that's what happened with Romero Duno. Like I said, he was at arm's length, which is the worst thing to be. That's like being at the end of a right hand of Tommy Hearns. It ain't going to work. It's a disastrous night for you.
Yeah, you either got to be a little bit further away or a little bit closer.
Yeah.
So you don't have to take the full.
And I'll close it out on this. If Vasily Lomachenko, the pound for pound number one in the world, consensus. I know there's a lot of people out there who feel it might be Terence Crawford and other ones. Me, myself personally, it's Vasily, based on what he's done. If Linares was able to catch Vasily, dropped him, what makes you think that Ryan Garcia is elusive enough, experienced enough, and smart enough to get out of the way of Linares' bombs?
No, exactly, and the way that kid fights with his head straight up in the air, that's one of the things we noticed we were watching that fight is no matter what's happening in the ring, when he lets his hands go, his chin is straight up in the air.
Well, and that's fault on the Reynosos. The Reynosos should know that. You know, he does have a bad habit of going back. But the other thing that Ryan's got a problem with, and we'll close that on here because I think we're going way too much into Ryan Garcia, is the fact that he, not just being stationary, he can't fight backwards. Watch any fight, even in his sparring sessions. In his old sparring session against, I believe it was Teofimo Lopez, he goes backwards. He's lost.
Oh yeah, he doesn't know how to get off. He doesn't know how to get off the line.
No,
he just pulls straight back, and he doesn't know how to get off the line at all. So
okay, so that's enough of that. So good luck.
Hey, here's a fight. Hey, let's talk. I want to talk about one quick fight that went under the radar this weekend. It's a guy that a lot of people here in Southern California know. They know his brother. Javier Molina quietly won his fourth consecutive fight. He's on a 4-fight win streak since losing a unanimous decision to Jamal James at 147. And Jamal James, for those of you that don't know him, he's a very, very well-schooled, tall, lanky, 140-pound fighter from 147-pound fighter from Minneapolis. A great fighter, man. I met him at the Thurman Pacquiao fight. Great kid too, man. So, like I said, props to Javier Molina, who just quietly won his fourth fight. I know him and his brother are both. They were both Olympians. One represented the United States, one represented Mexico. Great technicians, great fighters, and he won he won by knockout at Dignity Health on the undercard of the Burchell fight. So
we were talking to somebody just recently. Who were we talking to too? I think it was at Staples Center or somewhere. We were talking to somebody that said that they were in camp and they were sparring with the Molinas, and they were saying,
"Oh, George Acosta, the young guy. George Acosta spars with Javier."
Yeah, and he said that another good young fighter coming up right now. Keep your eye on George Acosta. He's only got one defeat, and the guy's
and he just won his fight a few weeks ago at the DoubleTree in Ontario. So
yeah. But I mean, the thing is that he says those brothers. I mean, they're serious. I mean, like I said, it is what happened with Jamal James is a rarity. He's very big for the division, but he's a smart fighter, but he's very humble, but
he's tough.
He's a tough guy. He's a kind of
guy. And Molina won by first round knockout over Hiroki Okada, who had just recently lost to I saw the fight. Who did he lose to? He lost to Ray Beltran from Phoenix. But there's no shame in losing by KO to Ray Beltran. Ray Beltran was former world champion, 2-belt champion. So, props to Molina. I know his brother Oscar sparred, helped prepare Jaime Munguia for several of his fights.
You told me those were some wars.
Yeah, those were wars. Oscar is the bigger of the two brothers. Oscar fights at 154. So, he's fought at 147, but he fought famously that bout against the former champion. God damn it, why is it escaping me right now? Jared Hurd. Him and Jared Hurd went to war, and that was on Showtime a couple years back, and Hurd got the better of him, and it ended up being stopped in the last round, and it was a very premature stoppage. But Molina brothers are both tough kids, man. They're both tough kids, and they still have they do have a couple losses on their records, but that doesn't mean anything. You know, matched right, they can put themselves both right back in there in contention for a title. So for a title shot.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I thought it was a really good. I thought it was a good weekend this weekend of some fights, and like you said, obviously the Molina fight flew under the radar. The Burchell fight flew under the radar. That was actually right here in Dignity, but we were both busy with other things at the time. I would have loved to have been there, you know.
Yeah.
And the guy, like I said, that Javier Molina beat, you know, the kid from Japan, you know, he was no slouch.
No, and he got knocked down the first round. So
yeah, I mean, like I said, Okada, you know, the guy was, I mean, the guy's legit. I mean, he lost obviously to Ray Beltran, but Okada coming into that, I mean, I believe he was the Asian Pacific. Yeah, he was the WBC Asian Pacific champion, and he was a guy that had sparred. A matter of fact, I think he even did some sparring with the guy, the Inoue, the guy who's like the cousin of the Monster, the one who fought against Munguia.
oh yeah. Okay, yeah. The other, yeah, exactly. The other Inoue. That kid was tough.
Yeah,
But
exactly. So with that said,
let's talk about upcoming fight. Me and you discussed this earlier today. Let's talk about the this Thursday from the Super Arena in Saitama, Japan, is a fight that a lot of people have been waiting for. Once again, this one is kind of flying under the radar. I think mostly because of the promotion it's under. Inoue, the Monster, defending his title against Nonito Donaire at 118 pounds.
At any other time in boxing history, meaning with not what's going on right now, that's a super fight. Anybody who's been around boxing for a while knows what Nonito Donaire has done in the past, but what Inoue has done in the present. But I think so. We're gonna get on as far as like what we think is gonna happen in this fight. But I think it's an amazing fight. I'm super excited. I'll be honest with you. This is the fight I'm really waiting to see.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, this one even more so than the Kovalev Canelo fight from this past weekend, because like I said I've said this to you, and I've stated it publicly, that whole fight had a very funny aura and vibe to it. But anyways, this fight, Nonito Donaire, Inoue, that is a legitimate candidate for fight of the year. I know you had mentioned to me earlier that Nonito Donaire is back down fighting at his comfortable weight, the weight where he was most successful, 118 pounds, I believe. And we all know the Monster Inoue. I mean, everything he hits. I think only 2 people have went the distance with him, but they were worse for wear at the end of the fight in both cases. But that is a legitimate. I don't want to say I guess you could say it's a pick 'em fight, only because of Donaire's history and ability to adapt in the competition that he's fought in years. Inoue, to me, is still, he's knocking guys out. I still have yet to see him go into deep waters and being able to withstand a strong shot from a world-class fighter like Donaire. So with that being said, why don't you go ahead and give your prediction for that fight, or what you think might play out in that fight, and then I'll follow up with mine.
Well, it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier. One of the things that I think we focused on that most of the people that consider themselves boxing experts weren't doing, and that was the fact that Donaire is not a fighter from the past who's won championships, who's at the end of his career, and he's just a name to kind of like fill the resume on who could possibly be the next pound for pound guy in Illinois. But no, Donaire, I think this is his plan. Donaire, when he got into that Super Series, he had already had one fight back down at his natural weight. Donaire, his step up didn't quite work out the way he wanted it. He felt he wasn't carrying the power, and he wasn't carrying the speed, and the fight was a little bigger. So he went back to where Donaire was devastating, where he dominated people, where he knocked people unconscious. And the thing is, Donaire has, basically acclimated his body back to this. It's not like he's struggling, he's getting back for this fight. He's been there. He's comfortable now. And the thing is, with Inoue, what kind of, and I know my wife's going to kill me on this, Inoue. The one thing that I always kind of go back to and remember was, I'm not talking about his last fight, when he beat Rodriguez. And don't get me wrong, he was completely devastated in that fight. And then even the fight before that, when he fought Payano, it was the Jimmy McDonald fight. Now, yeah, he stopped Jimmy McDonald early, but it was what happened just seconds before Jimmy McDonald took that crushing blow that just put him to sleep. And that was, he countered Inoue coming in. And Inoue kind of took a little bit of a weird step. And McDonald's a bit of a heavy hitter. I wouldn't call Donaire level hitter, but he's a heavy hitter. I want to know what's going to happen. If when Inoue cuts inside, he's going to try to get outside of Donaire, and he has a tendency to kind of throw his punches a little wide. And against a guy who's experienced like Donaire, you know, experienced in years, in fights, and in battles. You know, this is a guy who's gone toe-to-toe with some of the best in the game. From Rigondeaux, I mean, you name it. I mean, he was in there with Darcini. I mean, everybody. And the thing is that he knows
he fought Carl Frampton.
Carl Frampton, yeah. So, I mean, he knows what he needs to do. And I'll tell you now, I want to see what happens when Donaire is able to unleash that power and he hits Inoue coming in. Because if it is what I think is going to happen, and if Inoue doesn't catch Donaire cold early and just end him and gives Donaire time to really, really, really get into the fight and feel comfortable, it could be a situation what happened with Marquez and Pacquiao. Guy comes flying in wild, boom, one shot, night's over. Everybody's shocked.
Yeah, especially with that left hook. Nonito does have that great left hook.
Oh, it's...
And he's always been a quick fighter. And like I said, coming back down 2 divisions from 126 back down to 118, where obviously that speed is going to be there. It's going to be there. I mean, he's 36 years old. He's had a lot of fights, but you know, he didn't particularly have he hasn't been. I mean, he's had for the last couple of years, he's stayed active, but not overly active and not underactive. He's had 2 fights, I believe, in 2018. He had 1 in 2017, 2 in 2016. So, you know, he should be fresh. He should be fresh and ready to go for this fight.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. And one of the things I really liked about it was when they were talking with Nonito, and this is right after he beat Stefan Young. And the crazy thing about it too, in the Stefan Young thing, was it was almost kind of like they were making it like, because I believe Stefan Young, he wasn't the original opponent that was supposed to fight Nonito in that fight. What had happened was the original guy who was supposed to fight, I can't remember who it was, something happened where he fell out. This guy stepped in, but he was no slouch. The guy came in, you know.
No, the guy I think only had 1 loss on his record.
19-1, yeah. And he was doing what he was doing for a while, but as soon as Nonito got in his groove, it was over. And it was just another one of those things. And even the Ryan Burnett fight, I know a lot of people, because Burnett got hurt or whatever, but what people forget is right before that, Nonito was throwing some bombs on this guy. It was only a matter of time, you know. And even like I said, when he's lost to Carl Frampton, it was not an easy fight. But then once again, that's Nonito fighting at a different weight. He's back at where he's doing. This was his plan. And I think, honestly, you have to kind of take your hat off to Nonito Donaire and say, here's a guy that usually at 36 years old, at a division where guys are usually old by 30, 29, he's able to extend it, but he actually might have an opportunity to put himself back in those big money fights with a victory here and win this thing based on the fact that he took some time and basically put out a smart strategy and saying, I'm going to go back to where I'm good at.
Yeah, people are forgetting that prior to his loss to Rigondeaux, he was a perennial top 10 guy. He was one of the top 10 pound-for-pound fighters in the sport on everybody's list.
Everybody's list.
He had that loss to Rigondeaux, which, you know, as we all know, that, I mean, you know, Rigondeaux was just a supreme boxer. It was an ugly fight. It was kind of a boring fight. But yeah, I mean, with that being said, I definitely think I'm calling this a 50-50 fight. And I know the odds makers, like you said, are probably going to say, well, the Monsters, you know, he's in his prime, he's coming up, anything he hits, he destroys, and not to take nothing away from him, but up until this fight, you really cannot look at one name on the Monsters' resume and say it was I don't know, I don't want to say not that they're not world class, they're great fighters, but nobody with the resume and the experience as Nonito Donaire.
I completely, absolutely agree with you, bro. And I'm gonna take it with one little step further. I think that the problem with a lot of the guys that have faced Inoue, and don't get me wrong, I think the kid is amazing. I think if he does win here and he wins devastatingly, it's kind of like he just opened the book to boxing. And it's just going to create more hysteria. It's going to create more people to be, like I said, the one thing I noticed in the Rodriguez fight was Rodriguez was scared going to that fight. And that's kind of like the old Mike Tyson era thing. You know, when he fought Bruce Seldon, everybody was like, you know, Bruce Seldon's gonna, you know. Bruce Seldon was scared walking into the fight. Most of the opponents that faced Tyson were scared because of the outcome of most of Tyson's fights. Nonito Donaire is not scared.
No, he's not scared of the monster.
He's very confident. Right. Yeah, and let me tell you, when a fighter has had the amount of fights that Nonito Donaire has had for these many years, he's not afraid to fight anybody in boxing. Me and my brother, I know we say that a lot, but I'm going to say it again. He's not afraid to fight anybody, and he looks at Inoue as just another thing that's in his way, in the path for him to get back to where he needs to be. A victory here puts Nonito back as a household name. A loss here, who knows? You know. But,
and I think he views. I'm quite sure he respects Inoue tremendously, but I think he views Inoue as the smaller man, having to prove to him, meaning Donaire, how good he really is.
Well, it's like
the jury's. I mean, the casual boxing fans are you know, they see the record, they see the knockout, so they say, wow, this guy must be that good, and he is a great fighter. But like I said, I still think Inoue is untested. I really do. I want to see him get into deep waters against a world-class guy who's a boxer puncher and can match him with speed and power.
No, and you're perfect on that, because it's just like sparring. If you've got a fighter that's going into a fight against a guy that they know is naturally bigger, you're going to spar against bigger guys. Why? To get your body, acclimated to taking bigger punches from heavier fighters.
Yes.
This is what Donaire's been doing for the last 5 years. Now he's stepping down to a guy who, yes, probably hits as hard as maybe some welterweights. Who knows? Nobody really knows. But the fact is, Nonito has done the legwork.
He's built up the resistance, I think.
Absolutely. You know, and nobody's looking at this. No, we're like the only ones saying this. It's like
everybody else is just saying, man, this
glamorized by the record and what he's done in the past, and that's already been proven time and time again that can all halt in a moment.
Well, look what happened a few months ago, 5-6 months ago. Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
Everybody looked at this guy. This you know, he's stopping everybody. He's got this glossy record. He's a multiple belt holder. And what happened? Man, somebody who came in there and just disrupted the whole, upset the apple cart. So
I look at it this way. I've been on a hot streak lately. I called the Andy Reese Joshua fight. Nobody would give me even.
You did, and you bet on that fight too.
Yeah,
you bet it for money.
I called the Canelo Kovalev, but now based on the fight, you know, I'm going to rescind that. I want to rescind that because I don't want to be surrounded by that controversy. But I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to call it. Donaire, knockout, 6 rounds.
6 rounds. That's a bold prediction, but like I said, it's not far-fetched.
I hate to do that because I really like Inoue, and I want to see him continue to move forward. But I think Donaire knows that this is it. He understands that winning this like Super 6, this tournament they're a part of, that's not even what it is. Donaire wants that belt. He wants to show the world he's a champion again. He hasn't been a champion in a while, at least a real champion. And the thing is that this is his opportunity to do this for himself, his family, but for the Filipino people. Because remember, at one time we talked about how they were trying to say, you know, Romero Duno was an heir apparent to Manny Pacquiao. No, the guy who was spoken to be the heir apparent to Manny Pacquiao was Nonito Donaire. You know?
Yeah, like I said, a few years ago, he was right there in the mix, in the top 10 pound for pound. He was right up there with Manny.
And the thing is, people forget. I mean, come on. There was a time. I mean, can you hear me still, bro? Good.
Yeah.
There was a time when Manny wasn't doing too well after the knockout and then a couple other things, the Jeff Horn disaster, which I thought he won. But Manny reasserted himself by beating the guy who nobody thought he was going to beat, in Keith Thurman. Well, guess what? Nonito Donaire's in the same spot right now. He could put himself right back, and I'll guarantee you, he wins this fight, Nonito Donaire's back in the top 10 of the pound for pound.
Yeah, and not only that, you got to know Nonito Donaire. I've never met the man in person, but you could see the passion that he has for the sport, and you know that is on his mind. That is in the back of his mind, and that is something that he probably thinks about daily, about getting back to that elite level, because I don't want to use the term jealous, but maybe a bit envious of Manny Pacquiao's getting a lot of shine right now because becoming the champion again after a lot of people wrote him off. He's probably saying, hey, if Manny can do it, I can do it too. because there was a time and place where he was right up there in the pound for pound ratings, based on his sheer power, speed, and ability. It wasn't like he wasn't like a one-dimensional fighter, only had power, only had speed. He had everything, just like Manny. Speed and power.
I actually think he was much more well-rounded than Manny was. I feel he was. He was a better technical boxer. His punches were just more accurate. He just, to me, he had everything there, but he just kind of, he was in a tough division, and when he stepped up, he kind of got his head full of stuff. He just wasn't ready. He was dominating that. I think maybe it was his body telling something, but Donaire was the first one to say, I never moved up because I was struggling to make weight. I moved up to just kind of.
Because that's where the challenges were, maybe.
Correct. There was no
challenges of Nicholas Walters and Rick Dow and Magdaleno, Frampton. Man, that's a resume right there. So.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, people are like, well, who is, maybe Anaway's in there sparring against, who knows? Who cares? He could be in there sparring with the Charlo brothers. Doesn't mean shit. I'm telling you right now. Real fights. And the thing is that even though Anaway's like, it is in Japan, his hometown, I'm going to tell you right now, that's another Gucci right there. If you're going to lose as a top guy, it always happens at home. Do you agree? It always happens at home. And this is not the spot to lose. And believe me, Donaire would love to put Inoue to sleep in Japan.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that's true.
I think that's. Right. I'm going to the sixth round.
So AJ's prediction. AJ predicts Nonito Donaire by six round knockout. I'm gonna say. To me, it's still a pick'em fight. I think if Inoue catches Donaire early, perhaps he can stop Donaire early. But if it goes more than 5 or 6 rounds, then I'm predicting Donaire wins this fight.
And I tell you right now, honestly, if you look at even some of the guys, and I guarantee you, after today, and I'm not saying it's because that's whatever, but you watch, people are gonna start changing their opinions as the fight gets closer, because, like I said, for the most of the casual fans, they don't know who Nonito is, but they're gonna go on YouTube or whatever other things out there, video format, and they're gonna see what this guy can do. And I'm not saying that he's perfect what he's doing right now, but I'm telling you now, he had a plan, and I admire him, and I take my hat off to him, because if it works out, if you're out there, Nonito, you're a genius. You're a genius.
Yeah, especially come Friday morning, because the fight, I think, takes place Thursday in Japan, which will probably be, they have it on BoxRec as Thursday in Japan, which technically could be Wednesday night here, because they're about 15, 16 hours ahead right now at this time of the year. So I don't know if there's an ability to stream that fight somewhere, what the platform is. I'm not seeing it anywhere. I'm looking at the event page, and I don't even see where you can even watch that fight. I mean,
they're actually there is a service, a couple ones, and we'll put some links up on our you can go to our official website at edgetothering.buzz. I'll have some formats on there where you could actually probably view the fights. There is going to be, it's kind of like the Japanese version of Sky Sports, and so I've seen a few things on there. So once I have that all solid and stuff, we'll make sure to get that posted, and we'll send out, and I might tweet it out there, buddy.
Yeah, in fact, we need to get that. We need to get that definitely on the front, on the homepage here for this stream. We need to get the website out there. So
absolutely.
Well, let's move a little. Let's fast forward a little bit to later on this month, November the 23rd. Let's talk about Deontay Wilder, Luis Ortiz 2 rematch taking place in Vegas this time. Yeah. MGM Grand, I believe.
Hopefully, we'll be there.
23rd. Yeah. Let me see. I think we could possibly be there. Yeah, I'm going to talk to. I'll talk to Eric from TGB and see if I can. What we can do for that.
I'd love to be able to cover that one there, but yeah, I think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a traditional rematch. And I was talking to my brother about this earlier, and I don't know if you agree on it or not, Mike, but I think Deontay understands the risk here. And I know people. I saw a whole thing the other day on Yahoo Sports where they were questioning the basically how old really Ortiz is. Let me tell you something right now. Deontay Wilder doesn't care if Luis Ortiz is really 80 years old, because he's felt the power of Luis Ortiz. He understands going into this fight the risk. And the reason he's doing it is, one, for personal, that I'm not going to get into. Me and my brother, we know. But the other one is the fact there's really nobody out there that wants to fight Deontay Wilder. Let's be honest. I keep hearing everybody talking about it. I've heard Derek Chisora say it. I've heard Dillian White. I've heard several others. One of the people that kept talking how he thought Deontay Wilder was nothing and stuff was Dominic Breazeale. And Dominic Brazil's probably still taking Tylenol right now from that knockout. So the point is, Luis Ortiz not only provides a challenge to Deontay Wilder, a risk, a threat, because Deontay Wilder said it best. If Luis Ortiz beats me, which he has all the ability to do, he will basically walk through whoever stands in front of him, including Tyson Fury, Andy Reese, as the top man. Because those guys, I mean, the guy has pure power,
and boxing ability.
Yes, he does. That's what people don't look at. They don't look at what he does and stuff. They're always just questioning his age.
To me, Luis Ortiz was the most avoided heavyweight, the boogeyman. Nobody wanted to fight with this world-class amateur background until he fought and lost to Deontay Wilder. Then all of a sudden, the detractors and the haters came out and says, "Well, he's this, he's that, it's like." Yesterday he was the best thing since sliced bread, but post-fight now all of a sudden he's and I don't like to use the term bum, but that's what some people were saying. He's an old man, he's a bum, he's this, he's that. He's got heart conditions, he's got high blood pressure, he's got this and that. Well, that's just ridiculous because, I mean, like I said, it's like, in my opinion, Deontay Wilder can't win for losing. I mean, the haters are they're at the starting gate waiting to pounce for the moment that Deontay Wilder loses a fight or gets knocked down, whatever. They are waiting to pounce for any little shred of evidence that can back up their arguments that he's overrated, that he has no ability, whatever. Like I said, Deontay Wilder knows that. I don't know the man personally, but I can imagine he probably spends a fair amount of time on social media kind of seeing what's being said. And I'm quite sure he knows that it's not just the lifestyle and the championship status that he has that he wants to maintain. He wants to be able to maintain his persona, and his persona is, I'm the baddest man on the planet. Nobody walking this earth can beat me. And I think underneath everything else, I really think he believes that, and I think that is what has led him to where he's at right now. 41-0. He's knocked out every opponent that's ever been in the ring with him.
No, I agree. And the thing that really gets me too is the fact that most of the people that put this stigma on, kind of like they almost felt they overlooked Deontay's victory against Ortiz. And there were so many variables in that fight. It wasn't like Deontay went in there and just completely dominated him. Like my brother said, Luis Ortiz was the boogeyman. He's King Kong. You're going to call yourself King Kong as a heavyweight, you've ever able to back it. Well, guess what? Luis Ortiz did. Go back and look at his past fights. That's exactly what he did. But there was a moment in that fight when Luis Ortiz had Deontay Wilder in the position that he put every one of his other opponents, and that was his back against the rope, taking bombs. And the one thing that most of the distractors, and I hate to say it because I love my UK brothers, but I know you guys love Anthony Joshua and he was your golden boy. But right away you guys were like, what had happened to him. But what you guys don't look at and don't realize is, unlike Anthony Joshua, when he took the hits from a guy who nowhere hits at the magnitude of a Luis Ortiz and an Andy Reese. And don't get me wrong, Andy's got pop, but not like Ortiz.
No way. He doesn't. Yeah, there's no comparison.
Joshua fell. Wilder took shots that would have knocked a normal man out and still stood up. Not because he has more ability, not because he's better, not because he's superhuman, because he's got heart of a champion. That's why he stood. He stood for the one reason why. He does it for his family.
Was it the 7th or 8th round when
go back and watch it.
That right hook, left hand, that would have put
anybody.
Like you said, that would have put Anthony Joshua to sleep for a week.
Well, not only that, he didn't just take that; he took numerous punches. And the crazy thing was about it, towards the end of the round, he came back, and then the very next round dropped Ortiz. So that's the thing is that he not only came back, he came back at the vengeance, and that's when Ortiz respected him. These are two guys. Don't get me wrong. There has not been a lot of trash talking, and there's not gonna be, because at the end of the day, these two men respect each other because they know they both possess the ability to do not just damage to each other, catastrophic damage to one another and stuff. And the thing is that they're going to continue. This is going to be a great fight. I hope people don't overlook it as just whatever, because I tell you right now, I truly believe that there is an opportunity where Luis Ortiz can go away with victory. I think definitely Wilder's the favorite, but Ortiz, when you have that kind of power, and my brother, we know this, and it's always said by people out there, in the heavyweight division, it only takes one punch. That's it. You know? So go ahead, bro.
That's true. Talking a little bit further about that card, the card on the 23rd at the MGM, it is a Fox pay-per-view, but I do believe they are going to follow the format they've been doing for the last few pay-per-view fights and show quite a few fights on regular Fox Channel 11 leading up into the pay-per-view event. But in looking at the card, they've already got about 8 or 9 fights already confirmed or pending. It's going to be a heck of a card. You've got Brandon Figueroa defending his newly won title, younger brother Omar Figueroa. Luis Nere versus Emmanuel Rodriguez. Leo Santa Cruz is going to finally have that fight against Miguel Flores. If you guys remember, Miguel Flores was originally scheduled to fight Leo on that main event card at the one in downtown LA at the Microsoft Theater. And then Flores unfortunately was hurt and pulled out a few weeks before the fight, and then they ended up pulling the other kid in. What was the kid's name? The kid from TJ. But either way, so Leo's gonna finally fight that fight against Miguel Flores. They're putting a heck of a card together.
No, it is. Like I said, it's one of those ones, bro. Like so many that are just flying under the radar.
Oh yeah, this new welterweight kid that everybody was fighting for, this Vito Melnicki Jr. That he's now 2-0. Everybody was clamoring to sign this kid, and he's making his third fight. It's gonna be a heck of a card.
No, it's gonna be a really good card. And the thing is that it's one of those things where it's an exciting card leading up to what you know can be. It's kind of like a long thread, or the whatever they call it, the fuse for a big explosive bomb. Because once that heavyweight fight comes up, it's bombs away.
Oh yeah. I don't particularly see either one of those men doing much boxing on that night.
No,
I mean, it may be for the first round or two, but they are going to be letting the leather fly in that fight because they both know they can hurt each other, as proven in their last fight. Deontay was hurt, probably the most hurt I've ever seen him, and Luis Ortiz was hurt multiple times, dropped twice, and eventually stopped. So that's going to be a heck of a fight.
I think it's gonna be an exceptional fight. And this year we've had some really good fights this year. I mean, we had a lot of tragedy, and I don't want to embark on that, but I thought it was really classy that they did do a thing for Patrick Day again.
This past weekend, yeah.
This past weekend and stuff, because
But overall, if I could touch on that card a little bit, overall, that was probably one of the worst cards had put together.
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
Everybody is saying that. I think, matter of fact, I think Steven Espinosa tweeted something to Chris Mannix about worry about because he made a comment. Chris Mannix, the guy that does play-by-play and interviews for DAZN. I don't know where the guy came from. Did he cover boxing? I mean, baseball, football, basketball. I don't know what the guy covered, but obviously he doesn't have any experience covering boxing because the things that come out of his mouth are just ridiculous. But
I was actually thinking about that because and that's something we could touch on if we have time today. If not, we'll touch on another time. I want to talk about commentators and how certain people are there for one mere reason. They're not there to call the fight. They're not emotionally connected to it. They're there to sway your opinion of who should win the fight.
That's all they're there for.
And that's what we're here for, people, to educate you, to show you, to tell you these things, because it's true.
Yeah, all you have to do is watch his own broadcast. I think number one would have to be the number one ranking, whatever you want to call it, would have to go to Sky Sports. They are myopic beyond anything that I've ever seen in domestically. But yeah, DAZN is right there. Sergio Mora, Brian Kinney. Mora at times has flashes where he's being honest, and then there's times where I have no idea what he's looking at. But once again, I mean, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but there are times when you can clearly see that he is attempting to sway public opinion. Well, they purposely ignore the work that one fighter will do in favor of the house fighter. But Brian Kinney and Chris Mannix, I don't know. These guys right now domestically, they're in the top three of the guys that really should not be covering boxing at this point.
Well, what gets me about Sergio Mora is being the fact that he's a fighter. And in this last fight, him and Jesse Vargas were putting together, a little episode where they're kind of showing what each fighter.
Yeah, I saw that. They were kind of taking a page from Teddy Atlas, what Teddy Atlas used to do on ESPN.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, both of their accounts of what they were talking about was completely off. And I know you saw that right from the get-go. That's not the thing is, but the reason why, because my wife, she had asked, she said, why is Jesse Bart, why is he so excited? I said, because he's emotionally connected to this fight. Because he's a fighter. He's had gloves on before. You don't have to be a former fighter to be emotionally connected to it. You just have to be a fan. But the thing is about Sergio Mora, I get the same feeling from Sergio Mora, and I hate to say this because, I've met Sergio on several occasions, is what I get from Andre Ward. They're a little bitter. And I've noticed that Sergio focuses, especially towards one individual fighter, every time he's fought on there, and that's Jaime Munguia. For some reason, Sergio's got something for Jaime Munguia. I don't know what it is, but he has. Go back and watch the times that he's covered Munguia. He has nothing positive to say. Even when Munguia knocked out Alote, he still put on the thing that the guy had been knocked out before, and this doesn't really prove. It's like, I got one thing to tell Sergio Mora. Do what other fighters have done in the past. You know what I'm saying? It just like they're trying to get Ward to come out and fight against Canelo or whatever. Ward's not coming back. Ward's not coming back because you know what? He saw what just happened to Kopolov, whether it was legit, controversial, I don't care. The bottom line is he's not going to take that risk. He wants his glossy record. But the problem is with Andre Ward's not Floyd Mayweather. He never had that flair, that appeal, or that connection to the boxing community because for years and years and years, he shunned the boxing community by not taking those marquee fights, by not being fan-friendly. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, he and isn't it? You know what though? It's sad to say. I hate to say it, but I think the person that he's involved with at this point in his career, Shakur Stevenson, if he's taking any advice from Andre Ward, yes, he will be a successful fighter. Yes, he'll make decent paydays and maybe hold some belts and whatnot. Maybe even move up a division or two and win belts. But he will never endure himself to the fans.
No. Nope.
And like I said, Andre Ward, no matter what he does or says, he was not a crowd-pleasing fighter.
No, not at all.
Nobody in boxing wants Andre Ward to step into a ring again.
No.
He never had great ratings. He never brought excitement to the ring. His fights were ugly. They were boring. They were clinch fests. They were foul fests.
And for us to say that, we're talking about two guys here who will watch, fights from Tijuana on a grainy TV back in the old days, on KOC.
Channel 56,
Channel 56, you know what I'm saying? I mean, just to be able to see the fights. I completely agree with you. And the thing is, like I said, but we'll get on that whole commentating thing again, because, like I said, the more that people understand that whatever the commentator is saying to you, I'll give you a case in point. Manny Pacquiao against Marquez. There was a moment when Marquez landed, like 3 good shots. Nothing was said. Manny Pacquiao threw 5 air punches that nothing landed. And you would have thought Jim Lampley had just, exploded in his seat. I mean, he just went ballistic. Manny Pacquiao. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? I want to see guys that are sitting next to them that are real boxers. The only one I'll give credit who will say things every once in a while is Paulie Malignaggi. Paulie will say it. I've seen Paulie
and not only Paulie, but I think Tim Bradley actually has his moments.
He's getting better. He's getting better.
He's getting better.
Him and Andre.
Every once in a while, he'll revert and say something kind of silly, but
no, he's been getting into it with Andre Ward. I've noticed that more and more. So no, absolutely. Because I think the thing is that what people forget is when those two guys are there, just because Andre Ward opens his mouth and he says an opinion about a fighter, how he thinks an outcome is, do not hold it higher than Tim Bradley. Tim Bradley was a 2-time champion himself. Tim Bradley fought in fan-friendly fights. Tim Bradley fought the most dangerous men in his division, something Andre Ward never did.
Yeah.
End of story.
It's true.
So if I had to respect one champion more than another, Tim Bradley, if you're out there, I respect you, buddy.
And I've met Tim Bradley. I met him in Arizona during the Pedraza Beltran fight. Nicest guy in the world, man. Super gracious. Took the time to talk to people. Super great guy. I mean, like you said, he did fight the best fighters in his division. He fought Devin Alexander. He fought Manny Pacquiao twice.
Provodnikov, you name it, man. All of them.
Yeah, Provodnikov. Went to war with Provodnikov. You know, and really took some serious damage in that fight. But yeah, he's a guy that I respect him as a fighter, but I even respect him a little bit more now as an announcer.
Yeah.
I don't believe he won the first Pacquiao fight, and much like Andre Ward's first victory over Kovalev, no matter how much they say it on air and how much they resort back to talking about that night, they know in their heart of hearts that they didn't win those fights. But, it is what it is. They got the W. At the end of the day, they got the W.
Well, I think the difference is in that too, bro. It shows the difference between Andre Ward and Timothy Bradley is that When you ask Timothy Bradley about that victory over Pacquiao, he always says the same thing. I was blessed. That's it. He never goes into particulars or details. Andre Ward, on the other hand, gets very defensive. He's like, listen, you don't understand because I did this. I said, no, Andre, we do understand. You're not the only person in the world to put on a set of gloves. You're not the most skilled guy in the world like you think you are.
No, and he's always been, like I said, he's always been the antithesis of a Floyd Mayweather because they fought in the same area.
Not only that, I always look at it as the neighbor complex. If Andre Ward and Timothy Bradley lived on your street, I guarantee you'll never have a beer or a conversation with Andre Ward, but you'll have a beer, barbecue, and hang out with Timothy Bradley. It's just there's people that are impressionable and people that aren't.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
And the thing is, that's what people got to understand. Something is that be careful who you idolize. Be careful who you look up to, because there's a face that they show on television and there's another face they show. It's kind of like that one movie where saying, oh yeah, he always looks like he's such a nice guy, but in reality, he hates little kids and hates dogs. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's people out there like that, man, and it just is what it is.
It's true.
So, we're gonna go ahead and take a quick. We're gonna stay online, but Mike, why don't you go ahead and what do we got coming up? I'm gonna take a quick break here real fast and stuff. Mike, why don't you go ahead and what are we touching on now? What are we gonna talk about? Andy Reese, Anthony Joshua, right?
Yeah, let's
go back. We got totally sidetracked. Let's go back and let's finish our prediction on
Wilder Ortiz.
Yeah. My wife's gonna kill me on this episode. She's gonna be like, you going all over the place again. It's like, sorry about that. So go ahead.
Yeah, it's all right. Okay, for that fight, I'm predicting Deontay Wilder will win that fight. I believe he's gonna stop Ortiz sooner than last time, but I do think up until the moment he lands, it's a dangerous fight. Up until Deontay starts to impose his will on Ortiz, I think it's going to be a very competitive fight and a very dangerous fight for Deontay, and he knows this, which is why I think that heightened sense of danger will keep him sharp in this fight. But up until the moment where he does win the fight, and I think by either a TKO or by knockout, he is going to really have to be on his P's and Q's and really be defensive minded, because Luis Ortiz looks very good right now. The footage that I've seen, he looks like he's very, very driven, determined, motivated for this fight. Well, he feels like he let him off the hook last time. Yep. But we all know that Deontay has proven with Stavern, he had the ability then to make adjustments, and now that he has felt Ortiz's power, I think he's going to respect him, but I think he's going to be able to figure him out. I'm going to say Wilder by stoppage, somewhere around mid to maybe somewhere between 6 and 8 rounds.
You think 6 or 8 rounds, bro?
Yeah.
I agree with you on several of what you just said. I mean, I look at it this way with Deontay Wilder. Deontay understands that this is a dangerous opponent. We all agree to that. But I think it more lays on Luis Ortiz. How many times has he gone back and watched that round when he had the championship belt in his hands? It was there. The right punch, right placement, the right timing, the right tempo, just the right thought in his mind could have changed what happened in that round. But it slipped away. And the thing is, once he gave that opportunity away, it put the advantage to Deontay Wilder, and he figured, I just felt his best. At that point, Deontay wasn't afraid to get hit because he's like, man, he almost knocked me out, but he didn't knock me out, so now I'm going to go and end this guy. And he got a little bit more aggressive, which Deontay people were kind of like he wasn't being super aggressive.
Yeah, he was actually backing up the back foot. There were times when Ortiz was backing him up, and Deontay was just kind of maybe pawing that jab out there, trying to throw one shot at a time.
He wasn't sure what the power was, but once he got hurt and he didn't get put down, he didn't get knocked out, he said, okay, I've taken his best. Now let's see if he can take my best. And he went out there and he put it out there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, I'm looking at it this way. Deontay, he knows how important this fight is. He knows that the $100 million opportunity against Joshua is gone, and I don't care what anybody says, it all flies on Joshua. If she on you, Joshua, should have listened to the people. That's $100 million, man. $100 million, you lose this fight to Andy Reese coming up, you don't got to worry about it no more. Those days are gone. Deontay knows that there's possibly another big money fight against Tyson Fury, but based on how Fury's looked recently, and the way he is, and this is another thing we're going to talk about more in the Joshua fight, I'm going to talk about focus. For the first time, I heard somebody talk about focus as a commentator, but I think it had more to do with the people that were tweeting in and saying about it and stuff like this, because it's not something that's really looked upon. But the thing is that I don't want to I'm going to say Deontay too, but I think it's going to be a very tough fight. I think it's going to be a late round stoppage. I'm looking more like 9, 10, possibly 11, or it can even possibly be a decision, based on the fact as Deontay gets up on the scorecards, he understands Luis Ortiz has the ability to knock him out, and he will fight smart. He will fight at a distance. He will just do what he has to do to just get through the fight. But on the other hand, you know what I'm saying? I mean, Ortiz has got that one-hitter quitter, but I've talked to Deontay Wilder personally. I know the size of him. I know how he is, and I don't want to run into him next time and him tell me, yeah, I heard that you voted against me, so I'm gonna go Deontay Wilder, 10th round knockout.
Yeah.
He's a monster. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, he's a big man. He actually.
I'm standing between him and Effie, both those guys.
Oh yeah, that kid is big too. Yeah, and speaking of Effie, where's he been? I know he had that fight a few months ago. I haven't seen him back in the ring since then.
Um, I don't believe he's got anything scheduled right now and stuff like this, but I'll check on things. But I know he's going to be out there. But I know Deontay spoke highly of him. Deontay said that he was at that fight purely for the reason he wanted to watch his kid. It's kind of like like we talked about before, like when Clubber Lane was coming up through the rankings, Mickey started going to the fights when he heard his name. And we wanted to check this guy out. Deontay went there. So when the heavyweight champ comes out, I understand that there was a big fight that night, with Sean Porter, but he was there for another reason. He was there to see this kid live.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and this kid, well, it looks like he had a fight back in July, but yeah. So I mean, maybe he's about due for a fight. I know he's working with he's with I believe he's with Ringstar Promotions, who basically is a PBC, one of the PBC promotional outfits. So yeah, there's some big things to come from that kid. That kid's got a bright future. He's a little green still, but he's got that size and that power. So
no, he does have that power that is just there's only certain fighters that have it. But I'm gonna go back to again, it's balance. That's why Deontay Wilder doesn't hit as hard as he hits based on the fact that he learned this. You can't learn power. I'm gonna tell people right now, don't go and do the things with the arm weights and all that. You're not gonna learn power. It's balance. Go take some dance classes. Be a break dancer. Learn how to position your balance and shift your weight. That's what it all comes down to. Deontay Wilder was a four-sport athlete. He's an athlete. That's why he's successful. He's not the most technically beautiful fighter.
no,
Mark Breland and them show him what he needs to know, but he's an athlete. Just like Vasily. Vasily's not so much an athlete, but he's just got amazing reflexes and power. I'm sorry, balance. Now, in a situation like Luis Ortiz was born with power. I guarantee you, when that kid came out of his mom's womb, I mean, he could probably already knock, half the people out in heavyweight. He's just a hard hitter, and he's from Cuba. And anybody knows anything about those guys, they're hard as nails.
yeah, it's true.
So I'm going 10th round. You're saying what, bro?
Yeah, I'm gonna say mid rounds, 6 to 8. I'm gonna say he catches he finds Ortiz. Like I said, up until that point, nothing would surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me to see Deontay hit the canvas, because Ortiz is going to be dangerous. He too was in the ring with Deontay, like Deontay was in the ring with him. So don't think for a second a guy of his amateur pedigree has not been taking notes and does not remember the little mistakes that he made and the little opportunities he let slip away. So he very well could be right there and make this fight very, very difficult. But ultimately, I think Deontay's power will ultimately prevail, because he does have that God-given power, and I just think he's going to win by either a TKO or knockout.
Well, I mean, that was a perfect analogy you just said right there, bro. I mean, Luis Ortiz is an experienced guy, Cuban fighter. People know that in Cuba, to be a fighter, you got to be the best. You just can't walk off the streets. You kind of go through an interview process, especially if you're going to make the Olympic team. And the thing is with Luis,
Well, the competition is so fierce there.
It's so fierce. It's so fierce. These guys are just natural bred boxers. I know a lot of people look at Mexico and other places, but let's talk reality here. Cuba, okay? Some of the greatest champions that ever fought came out of Cuba. And you got to understand, a lot of these guys that were great amateurs never got a chance to turn pro. So we don't even know what the possibilities could have been because of the situation they were dealing with Castro. These guys couldn't even get out of the country. They couldn't become pro fighters.
Yeah, I mean, for every one guy that did make it out, I bet about 10 to 20 guys never made it out.
More than that, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it's a good point. Who knows how dominant Cuba could have been? Cuba could have been in the 70s and 80s and 90s. It could have been the way that the Eastern Europe is now with the the Lomachenkos, the Usyks, Bosdiks, Beterbievs. These Eastern Europeans now that are turning professional with these extensive amateur backgrounds are dominating the sport at every division from heavyweight.
Another country that wasn't allowed for a while too.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
weren't allowed. They weren't allowed to. I mean, there was so many great fighters. I mean, you go back in Cuba too, the greatest heavyweight probably of their era, that had to fight forever in the amateurs. Who knows what he would have done in the pros? And Teofimo, what was his name? Teofimo Stevenson, is that it? Yeah.
Yeah, Teofilo Stevenson, and then there was also Felix Savon. Remember Felix Savon before him?
Yeah. I mean,
That
I'll never forget when we went over to Fantasy Springs and Costa Costa Zoo was one, you know, one of the top fighters at his era. And I don't think he really got the credit that he deserved and stuff at the time. But he fought against a guy from Cuba that was one of the defectors, and David Hurtado. And I'm gonna tell you something right now. That was
Dio Belly Hurtado, yeah.
Oh, what an amazing fighter! What an amazing fighter! But once again, a guy who didn't get to turn pro till really late in life and stuff, and kind of missed that opportunity. But the thing is like I said, I mean, I agree with you. What you said about um, Ortiz, he's doing what Duno and what several others, what Joet, Gonzalez, he's doing what they should have done. He's really breaking it down. He's seen exactly what he needs to do. And believe me, Deontay Wilder knows that, and I would not be shocked because at any moment in that fight, either one of them have the ability to end that fight. And anybody who doesn't watch this fight, you're a fool because everybody's always talking about they want knockouts. Here's one that's going to be two guys. Neither one of them wanted to lose. They're both fighting for their families. They're both fighting for their legacy. And believe me, it's going to be a war. It's going to be a war because we're never going to see it again. There won't be a Luis Ortiz, Deontay Wilder 3 unless they go to a draw, and that's not happening.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Unless Martians land on the Earth and change the judge's decision. I don't know. I'm just telling you, it's not going to happen. No one's going to see that 12th round.
Got it. Hey, so I think we've been on about an hour now. I think that's pretty good. That's pretty good amount for today. Let's any final thoughts on the fight this weekend? Well, we can do a quick recap. Okay, so AJ is picking Donaire by stoppage over Inoue on Thursday of this week, and then Wilder by late round stoppage over Ortiz.
Wilder by late round stoppage, and then obviously we got the Anthony Joshua Ruiz fight coming up, and
let's break that down another time.
Yeah. We'll break that down. We'll go into that. But is there any other big fights on there? But like I said, people, we will go ahead and we will post viewer streaming information about nothing illegal though. I know there's a lot of people that were asking us to stream the Coblock Canelo. And you guys got to understand something. We're now part of the media world, and we're very ethical. We're never going to put people in the position where we're going to do something in order to enhance our position in boxing. We don't have to. And the thing is that we're going to always follow the rules. So we don't do that stuff. We will give you legal ways in which you can stream the fight or view the fight or whatever. But whatever you have to do, go out there, do the research. Don't miss this fight. Obviously, that fight's going to be tough, but definitely don't miss the Nonito Donaire Inoue fight because you're going to miss a classic if you miss it. And
absolutely, that's in a couple days' time. Do not miss that fight. Absolutely, what potential to be fight of the year right there. And there have been some great candidates for fight of the year so far. Taylor Prograis, a couple other fights that have happened. This fight definitely has the potential to be fight of the year.
Oh, right here. Absolutely, bro. And not only that, so we're going to go ahead and end it on that, but make sure to like and follow and subscribe, what everybody tells you to do, with our channel. We don't have a lot of subscribers yet, but we're going to get there. I know.
Yeah, we'll get there. We got sidetracked a little bit, but we'll get there. We've got some interviews coming up too. We're gonna definitely get into the gym and get a couple interviews in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, we got
some very interesting ones. So.
Yeah, we got a lot of segments, and like I said, if you guys haven't noticed it yet, me and my brother, we're very passionate about the sport. We don't take the sport lightly. We understand the sport because it's always been a part of our lives, whether we were in the ring or out of the ring. And the thing is that at the end of the day, we're all human beings. Everybody makes mistakes. Let's all love each other out there. Once again, I'm AJ Rage.
Hi, Mike.
From Enter the Ring. We'll see you guys again in a couple days and stuff, and we'll do another recap on the Andy Ruiz. Go to our official page at enterthering.buzz. If you have a question or comment, hit us up at info@enterthering.buzz. If you got a fighter that you want us to showcase, young upcoming fighter, whatever, let us know. We'll go to the gym. We'll do it right there live and get it done. Because, I mean, it's nothing about letting people know because there's a lot of hidden mysteries out there. Everybody have a great night. Mike, sign us off.
We'll see you guys next time at Enter the Ring.
Bye-bye.